I'm trying to think about whether or not I buy the dip right now, wait for Clarity Act. How's this going to play out? Well, today we're going to break it all down for you. It's going to be a good one. Let's get into the sponsor today, and that is BTCC. If you are considering trading, this is the place to do it. Jump over to btcc.com. You can, of course, find more about them with the link down below. You get a 10% bonus using our link. They've got all kinds of cool features here as well, including bonuses and some VIP rewards. So just by using our link, you're in the PBN family. This, of course, will get you into the ability to where you can start trading, whether you're longing, shorting the market, maybe using a light touch of leverage, which I think is healthy. Not heavy leverage, light touch of leverage is awesome. And, of course, you guys can do that all over at BTCC. So check it out. Let's get into it today. I wanted to bring in Tim Warren. Of course, you guys know Tim, coming in from the Tim Warren channel. How's it going, man?
What's going on, Paul? Good to see you again. I think there's the first show of the new year with us together.
Yeah, welcome in. Yeah, welcome into 2026. Check out Tim's channel. You guys can do that over at Tim Warren Trades right there on YouTube. Does a great job on breaking down the market. And we're going to get into some of the 2026 plays that might play out here, Tim. Some of the things I want to hit on is your tweet right here, and that is long-term bullish signals remain in place, but shorter-term indicators suggest a move down to 88K for Bitcoin over the next few weeks. So if this plays out to your idea, and we're running at 91 right now as we're recording, we touched the 90 mark. Do you think that is a defensive position right now for Bitcoin, that 90K number, or do you feel like it's going to get crashed pretty easily?
Well, we wicked down almost to 89K. And that tweet that went out, that's not that old of a tweet. The reason it went out is because the daily chart has a sell signal. But I like to tell our members, things can move very fast. Sometimes when you get a sell signal on the daily chart, I tell my audience 12 to 24 candles is normal. Like, it can happen faster. It can sometimes take a little longer. But usually you're thinking 12 to 24 candles. So if you get a daily chart sell signal, you're thinking a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it happened in 2 days. Now, it didn't quite get to 88. I'll show people what I was looking at and what Bitcoin did and why 88K was my key level. Of course, what Bitcoin ran into here the other day, it rejected once again here at 94, just above 94K, 94.4, 94.5. So we have a flat top of resistance. The sell signal I was discussing, this is an indicator our community built. It's called flow signals, but whenever you get reversal indicators up top, you get negative momentum on the RSI, and then this indicator's money flow. When that peels over, that's a sell signal, right? This is something I always, no matter how bullish or bearish I am, I never ignore longer time frame like daily or weekly sell signals or buy signals. And with the formation we were in, where 88K, I threw the number 88K out there because it's clean. It technically should have been like 88.2 or something. I was looking at this trend, this uptrend of support marked by this green line here, and we didn't quite touch it. And there are some, I longed this morning. There are reasons why we didn't touch it. We started to get a 4-hour buy signal starting to come in here. But I wouldn't rule it out just yet. I'm not ready to declare that that's it. We're never going below 90K ever again. It's nothing but all-time highs from here on out. I'm not ready to say that, but it is good to see a bounce here today. And if we can get above that red line, think 94.5 range, and we get a high volume breakout above, you got a very good chance of not going below 90K again before at least going up to touch that 200-day SMA.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I've talked to a lot of traders are looking at this kind of this hot spot right now, because we are in an interesting point, and there's a lot of reasons why that this is playing out. I want to go into a clip because this is one of the analysts that's kind of breaking down the difference between 25 and 26, because there are some unique things that are starting to develop. Take a look.
I think the big surprise, the change from, say, end of last year to current is a net positive, is that the Fed now is addressing these liquidity concerns that we've been talking about proactively. Okay. I wasn't sure they would do that.
Do the midterms matter at all, do you think, given that we're in a midterm year?
Well, I think they matter in the sense that we know the government's going to be supportive. So that what that means is we're going to get corrections along the way, okay? Like if we don't have a 10% correction, that would be unusual at some point this year. Trying to predict the timing of that's weird. I'm not worried about that because I think ultimately it'll be bought for the reasons we talked about. Growth is good. Okay, visibility on earnings is quite good. The Fed seems to be, in a good place. and we have policy support going into the midterms if something were to go haywire.
To the extent there's been a lot of hand-wringing about AI and about whether we're in some kind of bubble or something cracks there. Do you have any anxiety on that front?
Not now, because we're in the process now of raising more capital in the debt markets. Like, that process has just begun.
Yeah, so to his point, this gets kind of dicey with how the market might respond, not only to risk assets, but if you look at what's going on in the bond market, you also look at the global aspect of what many of the central banks are doing, which have been cutting aggressively. And now here we are, not on the eve, but many people looking at the Fed, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, that may pause in January. So with all of that, then you have this tweet right here, first few weeks of price action in the year, usually all over the place. Very rarely do you see Bitcoin trending straight away without some chop in the fake outs first. Remember, we saw that last year. We saw the little move last year, same kind of scenario. Here we are 26, and if you look at it right there, you've got it on Bitcoin, -3 in the first week of last year. Green, and then right there last run, which was a bull run year, 2021, plus 15. And second week, how do you think this, do you feel a little bit more bullish into the FOMC meeting and then a retracement again? Or do you think this is going to take longer than that?
I don't know. I think there's high expectation there won't be rate cuts. I mean, even the more aggressive bullish side of rate cuts in 2026, I don't think there's anyone out here expecting what Donald Trump and his staff are asking for, where they're asking for like, I think 5 or 6 to happen. I think the Fed's insinuated at best 1 or 2. The most bullish scenario is we get a total of 3 cuts. This will be the first meeting in 2026. We got so many more meetings to happen. I don't think a pause is going to be bearish. I think that is the full-blown expectation. Polymarket, last I looked, was like 93 or 92%. Okay. Yeah. So I don't think that FOMC pausing is going to be a bearish event. The event this is what will go down is bearish or bullish. How does Jerome Powell speak about the future? Does he turn his attention? Because this is what's been bullish recently, even though price for Bitcoin hasn't gone up because of it. The concept of him saying, hey, inflation's not where we want it to be, but we are now watching the unemployment numbers, and that's our focus. That's a bullish thing because unemployment numbers aren't looking very good. If he comes out and says, you know what, actually inflation looks like it's rearing an ugly head, we're looking back over at that and we're actually considering rate hikes, that would be a bearish event. But a pause and a, hey, things aren't terrible, we might cut next time, we might not cut next time, but we're still monitoring unemployment as our main decision maker. If that's the way he says from the podium, I see it as net bullish, continuing what he's been talking about the last couple of meetings.
Yeah, they're to support it, 93% on the no change right now, currently reporting January 8th on Polymarket. So that's one to keep a close eye on as well. Let me go over to a couple other points I want to get in. Crypto regulation coming. We see and appear to see some movement in terms of the market structure bill. Now, we had Warren Davidson on yesterday, and just so you guys know, the U.S. is planning to vote on banning Congress from trading as well on stocks. Now, here's a thesis that we're working on because it's kind of interesting. Go over and check out our video yesterday. We had this guy on, Warren Davidson. Now, Warren has been very pro-crypto, and it was interesting when we were doing the interview with Warren Davidson, and I think he was responding to that tweet, which was right here, and that is, here are the top political traders of 2025, and he was at the top of the list at 78%. And he made the claim that he had not invested any in crypto, but yes, he's in the Senate Banking Committee, which obviously has some access to knowledge on markets. So here's my theory, is that they're going to pass this, that Congress cannot make trades. And at the same time, by passing that, they're going to stipulate in the market structure that Trump has to burn all of the Trump tokens. What do you think? To get the market structure bill through? Yeah,
that's the first I'm hearing about it. I'd be for it. If I was a congressman right now, I'd vote for that. I think, I hope they do outlaw sitting congressmen and senators from being able to invest because they're the ones creating all the policy. I don't know. But do you see that go? You almost sound like you think it's going to happen. You think they're going to pass that? You think they're going to vote to support that?
Well, I mean, how do you not? Okay, so if you have to give up a sacrificial cow on the market structure bill, it can't be self-custody because that would be, a fight to the end by the crypto lobbies. It can't be really CBDC unless you somehow mask it, and it's not really in there, but it's in there kind of thing. Poison pills, I'm worried about. I think this is the low-hanging fruit. And how do you get Trump to give up that market if Congress is over here making trades left and right, which is essentially, I won't say insider trading, but definitely knowledge trading.
It is, though. I mean, we're talking about a bunch of congressmen and senators who have salaries somewhere between $150,000 to $250,000 a year, and yet their net worths are multiple millions.
Yes.
I just don't see fat cats giving up their purse, and they might hate that Trump's doing what he's doing. And by the way, I hate the Trump token. I wish it was gone. But it's kind of like, oh, I want to get rid of the Trump token, but that means I have to give up my wealth.
Tim, they're just going to move to poly market, man. They're just going to move to poly market.
If I was a sitting congressman, I would vote to say, Trump, you got to dump all the Trump tokens. Senators and congressmen, you cannot invest anymore because you're the one passing legislation to regulate all this. I don't know. I just see it as an uphill battle. I think there's too many fat cats in Washington that they don't want to give up their wealth like that.
Well, we're definitely dreaming that some of these kind of things are going to happen. Well, another thing you can dream about is a Supreme Court decision, because you're going to see this right here coming, and it looks like that the court is going to rule in favor of Trump's tariffs. Not likely. Holding, even though it did come up from 21, it went up to 25. So I don't know if there's been a late development. Do you think this will get pulled by the Supreme Court?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about this issue, but Shrum, my business partner, he has a whole channel, Taylor Shrum, now, where he talks about news in the morning. He covered this the other day, saying that there's some interesting discussion that people might not fully understand the details of what the Supreme Court might rule on. What they might come out and rule, which Polymarket's betting on, is that he's not going to be allowed to start any new tariffs. But they might not rule against the existing ones, and they might not like. There's a rumor that he's going to have to refund a bunch of money. That's the part that's nuanced. That people, at least the people that Shrum was listening to, they were saying no, they're not going to refund, and they're not going to kill the existing tariffs. They might just make it difficult for him to implement new tariffs unless they have clear constitutional basis.
Well, he's already started to get a little bit softer on them. So I think that may be a good position. But even the money that they've collected so far, the way to fight back on that is just simply say you're going to give the American people a rebate. Or some sort of, stimulus that's coming against that tariff, because, why are you paying taxes if you're collecting taxes over here from companies? So that would be a factor that would be good. Let's talk about Ethereum, Tim. Ethereum exit queue now has dropped to just 32. This is a 6-month low. Meanwhile, ETH entry queue is approaching a 2-year high. Demand for staking skyrocketing. This is big for ETH, but we're not seeing ETH move just yet. What is your picture on Ethereum right now? Give me a mid-year. Give me a mid-year. I know you don't like doing price. Just give me a mid-year. Come on, man. Give me a mid-year.
If everything goes well, like I'm really big on if-then statements. Paul, I got myself in trouble last year trying to tell people price predictions for the end of the year, and then things did not go the way we wanted them to. So if-then statements are what I have to deal with longer-term predictions here. If the bull run takes off, if we get these things right now, like one of the things keeping me really bullish right now is the weekly chart buy signals that are flooding in. That the history of these, think April of 25, think September of 24, think September of 23, right? These weekly buy signals that we're seeing now led to big runs on pretty much everything in crypto. So if the bulls continue to do their thing when repeating this history, I think it'd be very realistic to see Ethereum above 5,000. And then, I'd say the bullish scenario is somewhere between $6,000 to $7,000 for Ethereum. Don't know where, don't know how quickly or how slow it's going to take to get there. But what keeps me extremely positive on this longer term front, again, think, we get this buy signal April and 25, we don't top out until August. So these buy signals, they take months to come to fruition.
Right.
I could see this buy signal with a new high being somewhere in that $6,000 area in the next 4 or 5 months. Maybe then we stall. That's why I'm kind of giving you that early 6-7 months. We might stall and either go sideways before going up, or we hit a distribution where we make another wave down. I don't think that's an unlikely move. I think the choppiness that we've seen in the bull run so far, I think everybody's waiting for like a 2021 crazy rally to happen, and maybe it does. Maybe repeat silver and gold. I kind of lean at this point, Paul, that I think we could see a long bull market with minimal bear markets, but it's going to look something like this with slow but sure, steady movements for Ethereum, for Bitcoin. But you put me in a corner right there, Paul. You said give you a 6-month prediction. If things trend correctly, if these buy signals are accepted, if these whales don't just dump on us at a lower high, I think the next spot, if we hit new all-time highs to watch in 6 months, 6,000 area should be interesting. All
right, to pull a little heat off of you, we'll go to the poll. All right, so here's the poll. And we've got a few votes in there. I haven't sent it out yet, but let's go. Poll right now. ETH price end of January. Should I do 4K? I say no. Should I do 2K? Definitely not much. I'm going to go with the 3,500. Where would you drop on this?
Yeah, give me somewhere between 35 and 4,000 maybe.
All right, let's see.
I think you could get a pop up here.
Well, that's 50%
I would
of
go
the market.
3,500, closer to 3,500 than to 4,000, but probably between them.
Okay, well, our audience agrees. 50, oh, wow. Okay, over 50% right there.
That's a tight battle, though. That's
kind of in between 4K. Yeah, 4K to 35. Yeah. But you are right. Yeah, it's kind of balanced across. There's some haters in there. 22. That must be some Cardano fans. Anyway, let's go over to this right here. Solana, 900 million in stablecoin surge.
Yeah.
I am not seeing movement on Solana. I do not understand it. So many good news things coming out for Solana. This is just another, kind of stake in the, kind of in the claim of staking their flag as one of the best L1s out there. What do you think is holding Solana back right now, and what would your chart say for mid-year?
Yeah, I'm not going to have a great answer on as far as the specifics of what's holding it back. Let's just go with the whole crypto market. I mean, everything crypto-wise is being held back. And there's been a lot of analysts kind of discussing this. There definitely appears to be a concerted effort to keep a cap on what crypto is capable of. And to me, when you look at the on-chain metrics, I know we talked about Ethereum before. I've mostly looked at Bitcoin and Ethereum on-chain metrics. I haven't studied Solana's in depth, but I know Bitcoin and Ethereum for sure. You look at what whales are doing right now. You look at what even new whales and institutional investors are doing. There's a lot of buying going on. But they want to keep price lower. Anything that you think can be very wealthy in the future, you want to buy as much of it at cheap prices as possible. Think you go to the grocery store and you find this great sale on your favorite item of food. You don't want to buy, you don't want the price to jump by 50% next week because of the demand. You want to keep it on that sale and buy as much of it as possible. And then once you have your fill, you're okay if the price goes to the upside. Everyone's going to think tomorrow when I make a video about my early pick for top altcoin 2026. Everyone's going to think it's going to be Chainlink, right? I'm the Chainlink guy. Everyone thinks it's going to be that. Some people might think it's a smaller cap. My pick isn't because I think it's going to be the greatest return on investment, but I think Solana. I think Solana is sitting in a very good spot for 2026 when/if the crypto boom comes back. And the reason why is because Solana, it's not a secret, right? It's one of the top altcoins already. I don't think people anticipated how much of a stake Solana would get in the world of tokenized stocks. Exactly. I don't think people realized how much thunder it would steal from Ethereum and Cardano. But I'm not ready to say Cardano is going to zero. But let's be very honest. The way people have talked about Cardano for a long time now, Cardano people, you should talk about Solana that way. Solana did the exact opposite of Cardano. Cardano went slow and they didn't want to break anything. They want to do a slow process, make sure they didn't fix it the first time. Solana said, no, we're going to go 120 miles an hour and break things, but fix it as we go. Yeah. And now Solana's doing things that I don't think other people thought were doable or possible from the Solana team, and they're nailing it. I think Solana right now is my early favorite to be possibly the most important altcoin to hold in 2026.
I'm on the fence between Solana and SWI. right now. I mean, in terms of performance for this year, because, SWIA also, but you look at Solana right here, Wyoming Stablecoin Commission launching front, their stablecoin. First state, I think we'll see more states coming right behind them, so expect a Texas, a Florida stablecoin. The blueprint is there, depending on how successful they are. And I think the other thing, if we start to see dividends and things like that coming against this, dividends, yields, that will be an interesting play, especially at the state level, which could be another revenue generator for sure. You mentioned Cardano. And of course, I would be remiss in not playing this clip by Charles Hoskinson. Let's bring it in.
The reality of being a public figure is that we start with a strong desire to become accessible. And the reality is that the more famous you become, you have to become less accessible. Because of my presence, my persona, and the way that people perceive me, there are groups of people that will never participate in Cardano or Midnight. And that's not fair. So it's my farewell to that platform. And I'll turn it over to curators and AI. It'll go into silent mode. I have more important things to do. I was a billionaire at the age of 33. It's not a braggy, people. I've outgrown X. But I'm going to uninstall the app and never think of it again. Good night, everyone. Here's to 2026. Cheers.
All right, so we got another billionaire signing off of Twitter. But this, of course, being Cardano, the champion in chief in charge, whatever you want to call. I kind of have an open beef with Charles. He's always been calling me things. I never call him anything except, hey, just tell us what the facts are. We're happy about it. But it's one of those things. I'll miss him because I have enjoyed the banter and the insults and all of the rhetoric that he has thrown my way, because I love that. I think it's great. We bring people out of the cracks and the crannies, and unfortunately he has crawled back into a cranny that he is not going to let me come back into.
I tell our community all the time, and again, I still hold Cardano. Charles Hoskinson, I firmly believe, is one of the smartest people in the world of blockchain in the world today.
Really?
I think he is.
Well, give me your
I also,
reasoning.
by the way, think Gavin Woods is, but Gavin Woods, his Polkadot's falling apart. So just because you're a smart blockchain developer doesn't mean your project's going to be successful. 100%. I think Charles Hoskinson, I think he's a very intelligent individual. You know what? He might not like this, and he doesn't like I've met him twice, and he seemed to like me as a person, but he doesn't like people that do price predictions on his coin. So I don't know how much he likes me in the first place. Yeah, because that's what I do. I analyze it. Hey, how valuable do I think this thing could be? I disagree with his reasoning for leaving X, though, because my argument to Charles would be, and again, he's a grown man who's a billionaire, way more money than I have, so you make your own decisions. Part of the reason Cardano's as successful as it is today is because of his accessibility, and for lack of a better way to put it, he created this cult-like following that people just ride or die Cardano because of him. And I understand there's naysayers who are like, I don't like Charles Hoskinson. I don't want to invest Cardano because that. I think if you stacked up how many people hold Cardano because of his presence versus the amount of people who refuse to buy it because of his presence, it's not even close. I think this actually could be very harmful for Cardano, for him to fade into the background and let the tech just take over. Not that the tech's wrong. It's that, look at that run that Cardano had in 2021 where it shot up to $3 and whatever cents, had no business being that valuable, right? It was all because of Charles Hoskinson and the vision he cast and the personality he had and his ability to really motivate people behind and encourage people about what the future could look like. The value wasn't there yet. The Cardano coin was not that valuable, and yet it went that high. Him leaving, I think it's going to be a mistake for Cardano long term.
Well, I have a prediction for you, Tim. I don't think it's going to last. I think by before end of year, if I could put up the poly market, it would be that Charles Hoskinson returns in person, returns back to X. Hey, we've got Zcash literally Zing out.
Oh, gosh.
And that is a problem right here. We got another core dev team that has resigned. Zcash, of course, in a freak fall. Man, a lot of people are really upset about this. And of course, it was kind of a little bit of a rub between the, board and of course, the core dev team on different purposes of what the mission is behind this. But privacy is the key thing here. Do you think we're at a point where privacy tokens might be at risk?
This isn't. I'm going to not do a disservice to this issue by trying to give too good of a take on it. This isn't my area of expertise. I'm a chart guy. Zcash is something I was tracking beforehand. I've never bought Zcash. I have levels on my chart that I said, hey, if it gets back to this point and everything's still looking good, I would buy. But yeah, I don't really want to give an answer, Paul, because it would be a bad take. Like I just don't know enough on that issue to give anyone an informed opinion on it.
Well, the privacy issue is the one that I'm most concerned about. We put up a video yesterday. It was in reference to the Sony thing. And this was a post that came in on it. And I thought it was kind of interesting because we're seeing, you know, even users that are starting to pick this stuff up. And it was, you know, they're talking to Avalanche here. And they're saying, hey, guys, I hope you're talking to Sony about the issues that they're having with their ETH-L2. Sounds like Avalanche is just what they need. And that was kind of our reference, was we kind of thought, this could be a thing. And if we get privacy starting to float in, essential for a lot of these institutional blockchains, Avalanche does a lot of this. So, you know, they've already done some things with Toyota. Mainly the news, in case you guys missed it, was that Sony and Honda were essentially partnering. We were going to see, you know, next evolution around integration into the automotive sector. When you look at Avalanche, because Avalanche could be the winner here, is my point. Avalanche could be a winner from Zcash possibly getting shifted over to another, I don't want to say by devs, but maybe some of the devs will go there, or to another chain, you know, like that. What would Avalanche look like if we got some real privacy pump on the Avalanche token?
Yeah, well, let's start off here just looking at what the chart looks like on Avalanche. This is one, you know, I've been an Avalanche guy for a while. We had this big breakout back here earlier in the year. I thought we were going to make a push up to this resistance touch at least at 45. It fell flat. Of course, everything in crypto collapsed back down, but it ended up coming back down and touching that same trend of support. So let's start off with, is AVAX in a good place to buy just in general? The answer is yes. Came down, touched that support very nicely. You take a look at it, just like the other cryptos, you're going to find very few altcoins that don't have a weekly chart that look like this, where you're getting this buy signal coming in. And if you want to see backup on that, maybe people don't always trust my indicator. I created it for a reason, because I wanted to see a specific, you know, buy signal. But look at the MACD, look at the RSI.
There's the MACD.
I don't know anybody looking at this weekly chart saying, "Oh, so bad. No, don't touch AVAX with a 10-foot pole." What's the gist of what could happen here? You know, I don't think that mid-year AVAX is looking at new all-time highs. That's going to be quite a feat to get back above $65. But that $40 to $45 target that we talked about earlier in 2025, that's definitely doable with this weekly buy signal. What you need to see on the shorter term, again, there's a little bit of a suppression going on, right? So since back here in August, September, we clearly are putting in lower highs and lower lows. AVAX can't catch a break. Almost no crypto yet. I'm not saying every crypto. I'm sure there's one out there that has, but not even Bitcoin or Ethereum has been able to break the structure of lower highs and lower lows. We got to clear the last higher high. Excuse me, I said lower lows, higher lows and lower lows. The last high is coming in here in this red line, 1529. You can see we kind of rejected around the highs from December 9th. We're making our way back up here, right? 4-hour charts are starting to make some moves here on AVAX. Get me above 1528, 1529. Get a break above that level. Give me some extra volume to boot with it, right? Let's get a big tick in volume. And all of a sudden, I think AVAX, along with a lot of the crypto space, can make very big moves to the upside. You know, something I've said on the show before, it's also going to depend. You know, Bitcoin is going to be the driving factor. That's the other question, is does Bitcoin get rejected at the 200-day moving average, or does it break through? I'm in camp. I think it can break through, but I'm willing to watch it to see if it rejects. If it gets rejected, I don't even know if AVAX makes it back up, you know, to $30. I think AVAX probably looking more like $20 to $24. But if we can get a breakthrough on the 200-day moving average with Bitcoin, AVAX to $40, $45, it would be. I told you earlier, Ethereum to like 6,000. AVAX to $45 would be my midterm AVAX projection at this point.
Hey, I've got a clip I want to play for you, and it's Galaxy Digital. They're talking about DATs and whether or not their time has come. Take a look.
ETFs, the Michael Saylor, I'm going to hype you into bidding it up so I can sell at a premium so the old investors make money off the new investors. That cycle, that game's over. It worked for Michael Saylor. It worked for Tom Lee. It worked a little bit for Joe Lubin. It worked for nobody else. 3 out of 15 or 3 out of 50. The rest of the people have.
Well, all right.
The rest of the people have their shovel and they got to dig themselves out of the shit they made.
Ooh, man. There, of course, is Novogratz giving and pulling no punches on DATS. What do you think? I mean, DATS right now, it looks like we're going to see a merger year within those. Would you bet on a handful of DATS? I'm assuming BMNR is going to be the one, based on what I'm hearing from Tom Lee. What do you think?
You know, what we're watching happen right here, Paul, is a battle between effectively crypto whales, that, you know, early crypto adopters like Tom Lee and Michael Saylor and others creating these DATs to try to get people's money that way, versus you're going to have the banks now rolling out their ETFs. We know in Q4, BlackRock is now telling us Q4, the Bitcoin ETF was their #1 form of income. You know, we covered this the other day in a video. One of the reasons, you know, everyone's so excited about the MSCI news, and MSCI saying, oh, we're not going to delist MicroStrategy and other treasury companies. But then they threw in that, well, we're also not going to buy any of the new shares. And the speculation that my team had, and I'm sure others had the same speculation, is, hey, you know, MSCI is that really close relationship with Morgan Stanley, and Morgan Stanley has filed for their own Bitcoin ETF. So you have the old whales versus the new whales battling out ETFs versus DATs. Who's going to win? I'm going to give the edge to the ETFs, but I'll say this to anyone watching as an individual. I understand why people go the ETF route or the DAT route or whatever. Why don't we just buy the actual Bitcoin and hold it? Why don't we actually just buy Ethereum? Why don't we just buy Chainlink instead of going into the DATs or ETFs?
Outside of starting your, you know, starting in a Coinbase account or a Robinhood account, I think that's the issue, because I'm talking to a lot of people about this on the, you know, those seminars that we do here in South Florida. And that is the question all the time. Why don't you just go this route? Because they ask a lot about ETFs. And these are, you know, very high net worth individuals. And the question that the answer I always get back is they feel like it still is too complicated. You know, they just don't want to go through the mess of understanding it. And I'm like, even in an exchange, a centralized exchange, well, yeah, but it's, you know, there insurance. The exchanges haven't done a good job at really messaging, you know, out to high net worth individuals. Most high net worth individuals don't look at Robinhood as a legit thing. That is one issue. They don't look at Coinbase as a proven thing. So where do you trade outside of Fidelity? And that's really all the ones that you have.
I'll give you the more honest and real answer, Paul. The minute people realize they can be their own banks, all these large banking institutions lose the power. And they can't let that happen. Even in this world of crypto, with real money now coming and taking out the dollar, they got to keep their own power their own way. You know what we're going to do? We'll offer ETFs, and we'll hold all of it for you so you don't have to worry about it. That was a great excuse for gold or silver, right? I can't hold 500 pounds of gold in my back room, but I can absolutely hold millions of dollars of Bitcoin on my cold wallet and just keep it myself. They're going to try to continue to preach it's too complicated, it's too complicated, too complicated. It's not a form of trying to help. It's actually a form of them realizing we can lose control if things go wrong. We got to keep control. We can't keep people from crypto, but we can control their access to crypto and therefore control their power.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people are now discovering this investment class for the first time, mainly because they're starting to realize that the regulatory environment is getting much more favorable. And if we do get clarity, which I think we will, but it's just going to be a fight, there may be some concessions too. So don't be surprised, guys, if you see some bad concessions coming out of the Clarity Act approval. The markup is happening next week. We'll report on that and get in on that for sure. Tim, thanks so much for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Paul. Thanks for having me.
If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.